I'm Sam Knox, the Activities Director here at LCHS. You are viewing this 16-minute video as a part of the registration process for your child to participate in one or more sports or activities this school year. During the video, I will highlight many of our rules, guidelines, and expectations related to sports and activities participation. This video replaces the face-to-face meetings we traditionally held in the auditorium or in my office. At the conclusion of the video, you will be redirected to the registration page so you can complete your child's registration. I wish your child much success in the classroom and in regular sports and activities. If you have questions about the registration process or your child's participation, please contact the Activities Office. I will include our contact information near the end of the video. We all know the key benefits of participating in high school sports and activities. Students gain valuable skills in teamwork, leadership, and sportsmanship while working to reach goals that challenge them both mentally and physically. In addition, studies have shown, and we witness it here at LCHS every year, that students who participate in sports and activities perform better in 3 other highly important areas. Students have a better attendance record because they have to be at school for practices or contests. Students earn better grades because they want to remain eligible for their sport or activity. And students display better behavior because of the consequences that come with getting in trouble for illegal activities. Let's start with attendance. Our rule states that students must attend the entire school day in order to participate that afternoon or evening in any game, contest, or performance. However, we understand that students must sometimes miss school for an important reason on the day of a game, contest, or performance. The principal or activities director may waive the attendance rule in some situations. Some examples include doctor and dentist appointments, a family funeral, or some other emergency circumstance that is considered an excused absence from school. When students have to miss school for medical appointments, we ask that parents or the student contact either Mrs. Alexander or Mr. Knox in advance to inform us of your plans. We will ask for a note from the doctor when the student returns to school so we can document the student's absence for our records. Unexcused absences from school for the entire day or for a part of the day mean that a student can't participate in any game, contest, or performance that afternoon or evening. Unexcused absences could include oversleeping, missing the bus, or just flat out skipping school. Please note that practices and weekend events are exempt from the attendance rule. Now let's discuss our eligibility guidelines. We follow IHSA rules when it comes to checking our students' grades for weekly eligibility. Students must pass a minimum of 5 classes each week. The only classes that don't count toward eligibility are driver's ed and our Lincolnite yearbook class. When we check grades, we use the cumulative grade a student has earned since the first day of that semester. At the beginning of each semester, we give students a 2 to 3 week grace period to accumulate several grades in their classes because we realize that early in a semester, sometimes 1 or 2 low grades can put a student at risk of being ineligible. We run our weekly eligibility reports every Friday, and the reports include all the grades a student has earned through the end of the day on Thursday. We actually run 2 reports. A warning list, which is a list of students who are earning at least 1 D and are at risk of being ineligible if their grades get worse. We also run an ineligible list, which is a list of students who are ineligible for the following week. We share these reports with coaches and sponsors whose teams or groups are participating at that time of year. Our coaches and sponsors inform the students who are on the warning list or the ineligible list about their status for the following week. The period of ineligibility runs the following Monday through Sunday. Ineligible students cannot dress for or participate in contests during that week. Students who are ineligible for the week should still go to practices and can attend contests as long as they don't have to leave school early for an away event. Students must also meet semester eligibility guidelines. Students must pass at least 5 classes from the previous semester, and they must earn at least a 1.5 grade point average from the previous semester. A 1.5 GPA falls right between a D+ and a C- average. Students who do not meet both of these academic requirements are ineligible for the entire following semester. Students who are ineligible for the semester may still participate with one of our teams as a practice player. However, they will not be issued a uniform, will not be listed on the roster, will not appear in the team photo, and cannot participate in any contests. I'll talk about behavior next, but before I explain our extracurricular code and consequences for illegal activities, I want to be sure parents and students understand that our code is in effect year-round. Therefore, we highly encourage our students to avoid the temptations of illegal activities both during the school year and in the summer. When students participate in sports and activities at LCHS, they agree to follow our rules regarding code violations during their entire 4-year career. Since participation in sports and activities is a privilege and not a right, we hold students who are involved in sports and activities to a higher standard of behavior than those who aren't involved. Code violations could include, but are not limited to, the following actions: commit a serious act, which may not necessarily be illegal, but is detrimental to the individual, the coach, the team, or the school. Possess or use tobacco, alcohol, illegal drugs, or drug paraphernalia. Possess or use prescription drugs in a non-prescribed manner. Possess or use illegal drugs that enhance or alter performance. Commit or assist with a misdemeanor crime or felony as defined by Illinois criminal laws. Students do not have to be convicted of a crime in order to be subject to disciplinary action. Veteran parents and students should note some of the key changes to our extracurricular code that will go into effect for the 2015-2016 school year. If a student commits his or her first code violation, the student is suspended from activities and sports for 25% of the current and/or next season. Additionally, the student must meet with an LCHS guidance counselor to discuss the violation and to determine whether or not there is a need for further counseling. There is no option to reduce the suspension for a first-time code violation. If a student commits a second code violation during his or her time at LCHS, the student is suspended for 1 full season of the current and/or next activity or sport. If the student successfully completes a counseling program from a non-LCHS counselor, the consequence may be reduced to 50% of the season. If a student commits a third code violation, the student is suspended from activities and sports for 1 calendar year. The student is also required to complete a counseling program from a non-LCHS counselor. If the student does not agree to complete a counseling program after the third code violation, the student will be suspended for the remainder of his or her high school career. There is no opportunity to reduce a suspension on the third violation. If a student commits a fourth code violation, the student is suspended from activities and sports for the remainder of his or her high school career. There is no opportunity to reduce a suspension on the fourth violation. Please note that a student who commits a felony will be suspended for a minimum of 1 calendar year. Be sure to read the extracurricular handbook for more details. You can view and print the extracurricular handbook at our sports and activities website, www.athletics2000.com/Lincoln. Our chain of command exists to remind students and parents how to proceed in the event that they have an issue or situation they need to discuss with an adult at school. Issues could be about team dynamics, something that took place during a practice or a game, or general questions about your son or daughter's role on the team. Coaches will not discuss playing time or talk with you about other students on the team. If your son or daughter needs to talk about an issue related to the team, parents should encourage their child to talk to the coach first. If the student and the coach can come to an agreement about the situation, that's great. Parents didn't have to get involved, and the student learned some things about handling adversity. However, if your child and the coach aren't able to reach an agreement that you think works for your child, parents have every right to contact the coach to discuss the situation. Parents can contact the coach via phone or email and should set up a meeting that happens away from practice and game time. Coaches will likely request the student's presence at the meeting so all involved can be a part of the solution. After meeting with the coach, students and parents who need more clarity or have further questions about their situation are welcome to contact the activities director for assistance. Our main point is that we want students and coaches to work together to attempt to reach an agreement prior to taking issues further along the chain of command. LCHS provides transportation for all of our sports and activities away events. Students must ride to and from all events in a school bus or school vehicle. Students with driver's licenses are not allowed to drive themselves. In some cases, parents may be allowed to transport their child to or from an event. If you need to make special transportation arrangements to get your child to an event, please communicate with the coach or sponsor at least 1 day in advance. We leave the decision up to our coaches whether or not to allow students to ride home with parents after an event. However, students will only be dismissed to their own parents or guardians. Students will not be dismissed to another relative or a friend's parents. Now let's discuss your child's health and well-being. All incoming freshmen must have a physical to enter high school. During a student's freshman year, the school physical doubles as a sports physical. Freshmen do not need to get a separate physical in order to play sports. Students who play sports as a sophomore, junior, or senior need a new physical each year. Students who participate in non-athletic activities like band, scholastic bowl, drama, FFA, or the speech team do not need a physical after their freshman year. Physicals are valid for 395 days. The reason physicals are valid for 1 year plus 1 month is that most insurance companies cover a physical once every 365 days. Therefore, a student whose physical expires in April every year might have to sit out a few days in between the expiration date and the time when the student's parents can schedule a new physical. The IHSA realized this was a financial and scheduling issue for many families, so parents have an extra 30 days in which to schedule their child's physical and still get support from their insurance company to pay for part or all of the physical. At the end of the registration process, the only paper document we need from you is a copy of your child's most recent physical. We partner with Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital to provide athletic training services to all of our athletes, from the Division I bound athlete to the most inexperienced freshman on the team. The good news for parents is that the training services are free to all families. Our trainer is at school every day for practices and games and will treat athletes for injuries that range from minor bumps and bruises to major injuries like knee ligaments and concussions. We hope that all athletes are able to play their sports injury-free, but in the event a student sustains an injury, the student needs to see the trainer immediately and cooperate with the trainer's suggestions for recovery. All athletes will take the Impact Concussion Baseline Test prior to participating in sports. The baseline test is valid for 2 years, so most students who play sports all 4 years of high school will take the test during their freshman year and again during their junior year. It is a computer-based test that gives our trainer and doctors an indication of what normal brain functioning looks like for each individual student. As an IHSA member school, we will follow the IHSA's return-to-play protocol when it comes to handling students who suffer concussion symptoms. Students who exhibit concussion symptoms may be removed from practices or games by a coach, our athletic trainer, or a contest official. When a student is removed from a practice or a game, he or she can only return to play that day with approval of our athletic trainer or a school-approved doctor. Students who do not return to play on the day of the injury can only return to practice and/or play on future days after being cleared by our athletic trainer or a doctor. As a part of the return-to-play protocol, all athletes who suffer from concussion symptoms will take a follow-up impact test to help us determine if he or she is ready to return to participation in practices and games. Please keep in mind that because all concussions are different, some athletes may have to follow a gradual return-to-play timeline, while others might be able to return at full strength just a few days after suffering a concussion. For more information on what parents need to know about concussion signs and symptoms in their child, along with more details on the IHSA's Return to Play and Return to Learn protocols, visit the IHSA website at www.ihsa.org. Don't be alarmed by the headline on this slide, but I want parents and students to know that the IHSA has a program in place to test athletes for performance-enhancing drugs, better known as steroids. All athletes are eligible for random testing at any time during the season. If chosen, athletes submit a urine sample that is tested at an independent laboratory. The likelihood of your child being tested during his or her career is very remote, but I wanted you to know that this testing program exists. Athletes and parents consent to testing as a part of this online registration process. You likely accessed this registration site through our sports and activities website, www.athletics2000.com/Lincoln. You can visit this site at any time for the most up-to-date schedules, photos, and other important information that relates to your child's sport or activity. When the weather or some other situation forces us to change schedules, we will contact parents to inform them of the changes. We have discovered that texting parents seems to work the best. On days when the weather might be an issue, we will do everything we can to conduct our events as originally scheduled. However, there will be times when we all have to be flexible. We will only contact parents if we have postponed or canceled the event. If you don't hear from us, you can know that the event is on as scheduled. If you have questions about whether or not an event has been canceled or postponed, or where the location of a certain away event will be held, please contact the activities office. We want all students to have a positive and memorable experience as a Lincoln Railer. We know that students who participate in sports and activities have better attendance, better grades, and better behavior than students who don't participate. We are confident you will notice these characteristics in your child during his or her years at LCHS. The Activities Office wants to be a resource you can count on to help guide your child through high school. So please contact us with questions about your child's participation in sports or activities, or encourage him or her to stop in with questions during the school year. That concludes the video portion of your registration. Be sure to complete all parts of the registration before submitting it. If your child is playing a sport, we need a copy of his or her most recent physical exam prior to the first day of practice. You can mail it to us here at 1000 Rayler Way or drop it off at the activities office.